This is going to be a heated discussion. So we've
I've got
our
my
list.
notes.
So
I've got
today,
my evidence.
we are discussing the top 10 Premier League all-time central defenders, right? We're not fullbacks, just centre half. Because when you put the fullbacks in there, it actually became too hard because there was too many defenders then that come into that. And maybe we'll go fullbacks after. We'll go through this little series because I think it's quite a good one. We are... none of us are going to agree on this list, I don't think. Let's start from 10, and I think we read all our... And look, we might be in different spots, but I don't even think our lists are going to be the same. So, starting at number 10, Tone. Who have you gone in at number 10?
So this is going to draw groans from the boys. Jamie Carragher. See, I told you. Didn't I tell you, Chris, it'll draw groans from the balls and he groans.
Doing something with Liverpool fans is the biggest load of rubbish.
Okay, let me tell you why. Really quick, right? And by the way, an honourable mention to Sammy Hippier, who's not on this list, who could have easily been there.
As well.
But during, it was the year after we won the Champions League, so 05-06, Liverpool were keeping Premier League clean sheet records, Premier League defensive records, pulling them out of their arse for fun. I think it was, they did 11 clean sheets on the run, 20-something clean sheets in the season, never been done before. I don't think it's been done since. He played over 500 games. For Liverpool.
Listen.
And by the way, he apart from his first 2 years and his last 2 years, everything in between, he was very, very consistent. Maybe not the best, but very
also
consistent.
Played against the best strikers of the whole era.
There you go.
So,
I guess that's
in actual fact, but I'm not gonna go again because I think you'll go my one. I think you'll groan at that, and actually I think there is a fair shout. You've made a fair case.
Before you give me yours, also. People talk about Gerrard in that Champions League final, Istanbul 2005.
Carragher was also
for
brilliant.
Obvious reasons. Carragher was as much of a reason why we won that than Gerrard was. So I was going through them and I had the top 10. I was like, wait, Sammy Hippier should be in there. And I was like, wait, if Sammy Hippier should be in there, Carragher should be in there. So I went for Carragher. Carragher's my number 10.
And people will point to own goals, right? Now... No. So I'm going to make a case for Carragher and anyone else who scored a lot of own goals. Football was so different then with crosses coming into the box, left, right and centre. They were bombarded with fizzing balls across. So any centre-half, sticking a leg out, making last-ditch tackles, it could have gone anywhere. Easier to score an own goal then.
How many times did you see the ball whiz past the post by an inch?
Exactly. The football was played for defenders to score a lot more own goals. Now, he got more than anyone, but it was all. If you look at all them top centre halves, they all got own goals.
Yeah.
Even corners, we go on about set pieces now, but you had big men steaming in on them corners, which was quite easy. If someone's get a header, it flick off you and you go in, and it's an own goal or whatever. So I'm not listening to anyone who says about own goals because that's just stupid.
Yeah.
Who's your 10th?
Well, similar to Toe, I was between Hippier, Carragher, but then I was like, well, hang on. Would you pick Konate in front of both of those guys?
No.
And I'm going to say Konate just to be controversial.
I think he's a better football player than both of them. But
so that's why I'm going to do it. He's going to have the league that Carragher or Sammy didn't. So I'm going to say Konate.
In my number 10, I've gone Gary Pallister.
Yeah, that's a good shout. Do
you know what? He's one that doesn't ever really get much attention. And actually, it could equally...
He's higher up for me.
It could equally have been Steve Bruce because they were the start of the research. And they were very early in the Premier League era.
Yeah.
And that's where they're probably a bit more forgotten. And they both never played for England. Gary Pallister did get a few caps. Steve Bruce never got a cap.
Steve Bruce was the best player to never play for England.
Isn't it mad that he never got a cap?
But is that right?
Captain of Manchester United, win the league.
Yeah.
Never got a cap for England.
I've got them both in.
Wow.
that.
Okay.
I've got them both in.
Yeah,
Not
fair
high
enough.
up, but
I've
they're
gone
both in.
Pallister. So, number 9.
Carvalho.
Yeah, see, I agree with this, and he didn't make my list, but I do completely agree.
He's
with
superb. He was one of the first cultured centre halves that I'd seen. He could also he could also play right or left back. Right, he was pretty versatile.
Yeah.
But he was I don't think he was at Chelsea for that long. Was he?
Oh, he was there long enough, and then he went to Real Madrid.
Yeah,
He went to Madrid from Chelsea.
Yeah, no,
He
Carvalho.
was Carvalho in Porto's team when Mourinho won the
I don't know.
Champions League. I've got a feeling he was one of his from there. Maybe I
Sounds
could be
about
wrong.
right. Sounds about right. But he was superb. Loved him.
Who you got in at 9?
Martin Keown.
Great shout,
Yeah.
Martin Keown.
Yeah.
Great shout. Another one didn't make my list.
Fucking hard.
Yeah,
An absolute
hard as nails.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want to step into on the field with him. He's fucking.
No, neither
Yeah.
would I. And again, underrated.
Yeah.
Was at Arsenal. They sold him. I think he went to Everton.
Mm.
I think he went a couple of places, and then back at Arsenal, and then managed to dislodge Steve Bold.
Yeah. When you think about those big centre halves, who, intimidating leaders, walls, he's right up there for me.
Don't disagree
What
with
year
me
was
with
the
your list, though, I've got to say.
Invincibles?
Go on, Sam. What year?
What year was the Arsenal Invincibles?
04.
So 04,
So
05?
was it 04? So it was.
03,
I think
04.
it was either the year before or 2 seasons before, because he didn't really play in the Invincibles team, did he? It was like he was a sub most of the time. But
Yeah, because was he a bit too old then?
I think he was getting
Who
on.
was it then? Colo Toure, who was like
Colo
another
Torre,
one.
which he didn't make my list, but I did think about
Didn't
him.
mine either, but
Yeah.
actually I was thinking of it because you think of Toure sometimes in the latter end of his career, at Liverpool, when he'd actually already been at Arsenal and City before,
Yeah.
and he was a top player.
He was,
Carlo
he was
Toure.
an athlete, that lad, wasn't he? He must have been
Especially
about
at
7
Arsenal.
foot tall.
Like at Arsenal, he was when he was at probably his prime, and then he went City, and then Liverpool.
Yeah.
So it wasn't too bad, was it?
Yeah, we
But
got the back end of him, definitely. But he was also decent for Liverpool, though.
Who did you go, Tone, in your
Who
9?
Did you go? Did we get your
Did you?
nine?
Who was you in 9?
He was
I
Carvalho.
meant Carvalho.
Carvalho. Yeah, mine. I've gone Ledley King.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what?
Shame about his injuries, though, right?
He was brilliant, but his injuries killed him.
And he could have actually, I actually think, had his injuries not been there, could have been number 1. Because I think
don't
he
know
was that
about
good. He was exceptional. He was.
He just never showed it over a prolonged period of time, did he? So you
That
just
was the
never
problem.
know.
And actually, I actually played a game of football with him in Dubai once, and he was such a
We were
lovely.
there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he was
yeah.
such a lovely
Super
fella.
fella,
But
yeah.
he was just saying about how hard it was playing football. Like, basically, he
that's
never
right.
was with his teammates, just trained on his own. And then, and he said it was so embarrassing sometimes that, people.
Why?
were playing
Because he was
well.
always injured. It was embarrassing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he basically said, I
Yeah.
felt embarrassed.
Like he was
of-
letting everyone down, sort of thing.
No, that he wouldn't train and then would be straight in the team and the captain.
Oh, I see.
And he
Yeah,
said,
yeah, yeah.
I had to almost perform even better because of that. It was almost like a bit of a hindrance. But he said it was embarrassing sometimes because these guys were playing so well, trying and training, and then I wouldn't be there all week and then come. But he actually played well into his 30s as well, which is actually weird. You'd think he finished at 27 or something. But
Did he have his best years under Redknapp? He did, didn't he?
yeah, when he wasn't training at all.
Yeah.
And Spurs, good years. He won the League Cup, their last trophy. I think he was captain. But yeah, fantastic. So he was in mine. Right, number 8, Tone.
Sol Campbell.
Whew. Mine's a lot higher.
Sol Campbell is.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
I think
I
people
can
forget,
understand why. I can
how
understand
good
why.
Sol Campbell was.
My 7 and 8 are so close.
Yeah.
I just loved 7. I loved him. He wasn't a Liverpool player, by the way.
Sol Campbell,
But
great.
Sol
Great.
Campbell was outstanding. The way he went from Spurs to Arsenal, I wasn't a big fan of. I think that subconsciously maybe takes half a point off him for me. But And also when you hear him speak, he's fucking hard work to listen to. So that may also take another half a point off.
One of the
me,
most
but he was
unlikable
amazing.
people to ever listen to, I think.
One of the what? Sorry,
Most unlikable people to listen to. It's so
I
weird.
don't
I was
think
talking
he's
to my friend Addy
unlikable.
about
I just
him
think he's
the other day.
peculiar. He just is so different, and for how big he is and how imposing he is, he's got this really high pitched little bitch voice.
One thing
And
I'd
I'm
say
just
about
like,
it
I
is
need to.
I find it so weird
different, so.
because he should be someone that is perfect for TV. Because he's a good-looking
should
fella.
be, yeah,
He's in
yeah.
great shape. He's articulate. He's quite intelligent.
Dresses really well.
Snappy dress. Well, this is exactly what me and my mate Addy said the other day. He should be the perfect pundit, someone to watch on TV, but he's almost so unaware of his own doings as well. It's always someone else's fault. Like he wasn't a problem for leaving, going from Tottenham to Arsenal.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
I'd
I'd never
take
heard that
any
story.
responsibility at all.
Yeah, it's not very
Yeah,
compelling. I agree
that
with
story that he told a couple of weeks ago on it was
About
Football
the
or
club
Soccer,
trying to
wasn't
get him arrested and
it? Yeah, that's again, if it was true, then that is outrageous.
Outrageous,
But
yeah.
it just sounds so far fetched. So
But
far.
talk about him as a player quickly, because he's in my three and we won't talk about him again.
Go on.
Quick, amazing tackler of the ball. Amazing.
Strong as an ox.
Strong. Heading ability was amazing. Probably his slight weakness was passing ability. I wouldn't say his passing range was amazing. Great on corners, defending and opposing.
Yeah.
Very unlucky to have not scored two of England's could have been most important goals.
Yeah, that's right.
The one against Argentina, which was a goal.
VAR, you see, should
And
have
what
had
was
it.
the other one that they disallowed that was so important? Oh, I'm thinking, was it at both Argentina? No.
I know the idea.
Oh God, I've blanked. But he scored two important goals that never were for England, and they were both goals. If VAR was there, they would have been. So go on, yeah, you're in a 8.
Hey, I've gone. Well, I've gone Gary Pallister.
Yeah.
It could have been Steve Bruce. I've done a stroke because again, they were the guys that won Man United the league.
Yeah.
They were, they were incredible.
And probably more a bit your era as well. You're a little bit
I'm a little
older
bit
than
older,
me.
yeah. That's right. Yeah, I mean, they were the guys.
He's
that did
older.
It. What are you going to do?
I've gone Vidic in at 8.
Yeah.
Think was an amazing centre half. I just think there's a few better for me.
Yeah.
Again, he could be anywhere in this list. I think he was
I've
a
got-
top centre half.
I've got him higher.
And I think it just comes down to opinion. Really, you've got to put him in an order, and that was where he came in at mine. But brilliant defender. Where are we? 7.
7. I've got Jaap Stam. 7.
Yep. Stam. Yep.
Jaap Stam. And the only reason he isn't higher because I think he's probably a better player than some of the ones I've got a couple of places higher. He just wasn't there long enough.
I agree with it. I've got him higher,
I've got him higher.
but you're right. How many seasons? Did he only have 2
3
or 3
years.
seasons?
He was only there for 3 years, which is crazy because you the only thing I can think of with Jaap Stam is him in a Man United shirt, but he wasn't there
And
that long.
maybe if he was there longer, could arguably have been the best.
Definitely, yeah.
There's a shout for him.
100%.
And again, opinion, but went to Man
100%.
United, they won the Champions League. And I think was another one that I think that they were buying and then got injured. They pulled out and then they
fell out
bought
with
him, didn't
Fergie,
they?
didn't he?
With a book, wasn't it? He wrote,
Well,
he wrote
yeah,
the book,
because
didn't he?
Jaap Stam wrote a book, didn't he? Yeah, but
Did he
I
say
think
about he
he's
was
the
tapped
only.
up or it was? I can't remember
I
what.
can't remember what it was, but I know it was a fallout.
But
It wasn't
Fergie
'cause
said it was the
wasn't 'cause
biggest
he wasn't very
mistake
good. Yeah, exactly.
of his career, didn't he? Like,
Yeah.
Oh no!
it did-
Or did he write a book or do an interview? It was something. That,
it was a
It
book.
was a book, I think.
Was
yeah.
it an actual book? So
'Cause he went to
I
Lazio,
think-
didn't he?
I think he's the only
AC Milan.
player that Fergie has gone on record to say regrets selling. He sold
Yeah.
him too early. Yeah. But so yeah, if he was there longer, I reckon he'd be higher on the list. But I loved Jaap Stam. Well, I hated him at the time, but
Yeah, no,
as a player,
what a player.
super.
Again, Rolls Royce, when he big guy as well.
Just again hard.
Yeah.
and incredibly talented. Great fundamentals. Just the all round. Couldn't argue with him.
Who you gone?
I've gone Sol Campbell for that one.
Sol Campbell,
Yeah.
which we've discussed. I've gone Vincent Kompany.
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh, no, sorry. No, I haven't.
What have you gone?
I've gone Virgil van Dijk.
You wank.
Fuck off.
No fucking way.
I've gone Virgil van Dijk.
Stop recording. Stop recording. Fuck.
I've gone
You're out
Virgil
of your
van
mind.
Dijk.
You're out of your mind.
I'm not, I don't think.
I'm surprised you don't have fucking Julian Dix as the next one.
Bobby Moore never played in the Premier League, otherwise it wouldn't even be worth doing
Alan
it.
Hansen didn't know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, I've gone Virgil van Dijk. I think he's a great player. That's why he's made my top 10. I don't think he's better than the guys that I've put in front of him. And that's why, for me, I think he's unfortunately not played in an era of football that it's completely different. I think he's spent major part of his career. I know he's played earlier part. He's played against Aguero. He's played against these. But I think some of these others...
Played against
the
Aguero,
one above him,
Messi,
obviously.
Ronaldo, Benzema.
Yeah, no, he has, but he didn't play against them every week. We're talking about Premier League, and he wasn't
playing against fucking Mark Noble and well, I guess he probably was playing against Mark Noble. Wasn't
Yeah.
he? But what I'm saying to you is, he is. But this argument about different. But
that's my opinion. I don't think. I see a lot of the mistakes, and look, other people made mistakes and things like that. I think he changed Liverpool. So as a Liverpool fan, I do understand the perception of him, because along with Alisson, they were probably the two most important signings that Liverpool ever made in their history, maybe. At a point.
That's a good point.
Because it actually changed. It was the start of the change of Liverpool.
So wait, was that what number was that?
8.
No.
That wasn't 8.
It's 7. Wasn't it?
7.
So you've got him 7th.
Yeah.
I can hear an argument for 2 people, but you've got 6 people who are better than him.
Yeah.
You're a
All right, well, let's get to it. Who's your 6th, Toe?
My 6th is
I don't know,
Vidic.
you've got 6 or 7, 6 ahead of him.
Vidic is my 6th.
We've spoke. I think that's
hang
a
on.
fair
Yeah, we
point.
spoke about him. Yeah.
Won a lot of titles.
Oh, hang on, are we on 6 or are we on? What are we on?
So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Have you messed your whole list up?
No, I don't think. Oh, hang on, did we say?
We said
Oh no,
Pallister, but you haven't said
didn't
Bruce
say
yet.
your 7.
I thought it was Sol Campbell. I think.
Oh,
I
you
did.
said Sol Campbell,
And
yeah.
then you went VVD for 7. So
Yeah.
we're on
So
6.
my 6, I've got Vincent Kompany.
There you go.
So I've got Vincent Kompany. Now, I know you're thinking, how can you put Vincent Kompany above Virgil van Dijk?
No, Vince Company's superb. Superb
So
player.
it's when you say it, and you do when they retire, you kind of forget them about a little bit.
Yeah,
He probably played in the greatest Man City side of all time.
Yeah.
And arguably the greatest Premier League side of all time. And
scored
again,
one of the best goals from a centre half that's ever been scored.
to win him the league, really.
really.
Yeah.
So gutted.
And I think, to be honest with you, for me, him and they could have been either way. I put him above Virgil for the team that he was in. And arguably, was it easier with him in the team that he was in as well? So would Virgil have been the same, or if not better than Company in that team? Arguably, yeah.
City tried to sign Van Dijk, didn't they? When they
Listen,
had Company. Imagine those two playing together.
I'm probably putting it in there with over Van Dijk because of the titles, because of what they did. And Company also was the resurgence of City. He was one of the early players in. And then they went on to win that first league with Pellegrini and... Mancini, sorry. Then Pellegrini, then... thing. And so he's one of those I think gets forgotten. But I think I've made a case for him.
It's a good case. It's a really good case. I haven't got him in, and I should have he could have been in there instead of any of the guys that I've had up to now.
Who did you go?
Number 6, Toe.
Wait. Didn't you have you gone, Chris?
No. This is number 6, right?
Yeah.
Tony Adams is my number 6.
Yeah.
So
Tony Adams is a bit higher for me. But and
I think we're gonna have similar
there's
people.
arguably was Tony Adams' best year in the Premier League because but he still played quite a few seasons in the Premier League. Like Arsenal won it in
He only played 2 or 3, didn't he? He didn't play
No, he
much.
didn't. Are you mad? 97, 98 was when they won the double. Tony Adams was the captain. You forget Tony Adams played. Premiership started in 92. So
did he really? Wow.
Tony Adams played, I think, till 2000 in Arsenal.
Just another man. Another man.
And naturally,
didn't he go to Portsmouth after or somewhere? Or am I imagining that?
No, he only ever played for Arsenal. He went and managed Portsmouth, I think.
Okay, that might be it.
So Tony Adams finished at Arsenal in 2002.
Wow.
Oh my God.
So it's funny, like, where you forget. So he probably played less in them years, but Tony Adams was some hell of a centre-half.
Yeah, he was, yeah.
What a leader.
He's actually my number 5, Tony Adams.
We agree on it. So who was your number 6? We'll go to Tony Adams next. Go on. Who was your number?
My 6 was Vidic.
Okay, so number 5.
I went first for 6, and then you guys went, and now we're on 5, right?
So number 5, we'll talk about him now. If me and you are both him, is Tony Adams.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, I'd say what a player. And also, one thing people forget: Tony Adams, he was an alcoholic.
Yeah.
Went to prison.
Yeah.
And he always.
What did he go to prison for? Was it drunk driving?
Yeah.
And he never cried, ever, Tony Adams. He was never a poor me. That's what I loved about him.
Agreed.
He set up that clinic, didn't he?
He was a real man,
Chance.
wasn't he? And do you know what? He's one thing that I've got to say, Tony Adams, he's one person that I'm upset you don't see more of. Because I think he's a bit of a weird character. I don't know, because he's always a bit flamboyant. He almost looks.
He'd have those bronze suits on and stuff, wouldn't he? Remember that bronze suit he wore?
Yeah.
Like that kind of stuff.
But he just, when I look at him, England captain, Arsenal captain, one club man, proud Englishman.
That's right.
And it makes me sad someone like that isn't on TV more, I've got to say, or hasn't been. Maybe he didn't want to. I know he had his clinic and things like that helping
He still
people
does,
out.
I think, right?
Yeah.
The Sporting Chance, I think it's called.
Sporting Chance, that's it.
Yeah.
But and it's funny, he was always a person I always looked up to, Tony Adams. He was like the epitome of an England, that England player.
Yeah.
He's kind of like that last generation of what we said, that chest thumper. Yeah. Was he the most talented player? I don't think he was.
No. But he was
grit and determination.
Industrious beyond anything you'd ever see in your life. And a proper leader as well. He's one of those players, and this is why I was so surprised that you had Van Dijk so low down. He's one of those players that he makes everyone around him play better.
Yeah.
Just because he's got peripheral vision almost, and he's telling people go there, drop back, go for it, all that kind of stuff, which is really surprising that he didn't become a successful manager.
It is.
Yeah.
It shows, and maybe at the right club he could have been. I always think people like Tony Adams, Roy Keane, for example, if they went in at the top, maybe they don't understand that lesser player. Like the guy that doesn't really want to be the best player.
I think he does, though. I think Tony Adams
maybe
would, because he wasn't a Glenn Hoddle and he wasn't a Roy Keane. I mean, Roy Keane actually wasn't a Glenn Hoddle either, but I think when you hear people like Sol Campbell and Tony Adams, and when you hear them speak, you can understand why people would be. Not that I think Sol Campbell is way more annoying than Tony Adams, but Tony Adams still, I think his EQ is a little bit off. I just think his man management skills probably weren't the best, but his technical skills probably better than anyone.
And possibly the most famous back line of all time is the Arsenal back line.
Lee Dixon, Steve Bold,
Nigel Winterburn,
Lee.
Tony
Adams, Tony Adams. Yeah.
Who's your 5?
John Terry.
JT.
Yeah.
Low for me.
That's low for me. Yeah.
I just feel like there's the other. We've spoken about a few of the other guys that I think just. I don't know. The Man United teams, I think, were better than that Chelsea team. Like Vidic, I've got higher, and Stam I've got higher, and I just feel like those guys.
They won. Well, JT won everything.
Yeah.
Won how many league titles? 4, 5, 6?
I don't know. I just feel
I think he won 5 or 6, JT.
I don't know.
Champions
I don't know,
League,
but
and
he
then
was
he missed
very
out
good.
on a Champions
Listen,
League.
It's all close. It's all close.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just feel like when you think who would you write down for? For me, I'd put Stam Vidic ahead of him. For me,
Is it because, I'll say this with JT, is it because as a rival fan of him
probably
that he's less likeable?
Probably.
Like there is
he
that
made it
part.
tough for us,
He's
yeah.
very Chelsea, very like so. He was the figurehead of that.
I'm trying not to be. I'm trying to be. Switzerland. But I'm sure.
Is it part of him that because he's so Chelsea that you went, oh, I hate him? Do you know what? Like it's kind of that much. Like, and maybe that's why he doesn't get.
I think that's, and it's super close. By the way, like you could flip a coin and he'd be make an argument for him to be probably right at the top. But
Well, let's go. What are we into? Number
4.
4. Well, who's your
Number four, we're Tony Adams.
You're Tony Adams.
Number 4. So the top 4. Who have you gone, Tone?
Getting to the business end of the season now. Company's 4 for me.
So you had him
Company.
high.
Yeah.
High.
I thought he was amazing. I thought he was superb.
I can't disagree with it. We discussed him already. Who have you gone for?
I've gone Vidic for
Vidic again.
Yeah.
I don't think any of us can. Like, I've had him lower down. I've gone Yap Stam. So I think that's where he was. I think that's kind of where we are.
How can you
We're all
have
gonna
Jaap Stam above Virgil van Dijk?
He was a better player, I think.
In what way?
We arguably we're not making the case that Virgil van Dijk, because I know you idiots are gonna, but
but
the best ever.
But you still like.
there's a
I'm
case for
just
Jaap
asking
Stam.
you. In what way was he a better player though?
I think he was. I just think
He was
more
amazing.
commanding.
Listen, I told you, I love
More
I love Jaap
commanding.
Stam.
I just think he was. I think he was a top player.
I do, but you're not
And
answering
I
my
don't think
question.
Virgil van Dijk is that world class level. Like for me, like that ultimate world class level. Like listen,
Okay,
top 10.
but give me a 20-second why he was better.
Well,
Not
because
just he was
you're
a
going to
top
say
player.
that with all of them, and do you know what? I'll give it to you on when we get to number 1.
Okay, go on.
All right.
Because otherwise, I can do it with all these players, and
Yeah.
we go through it. Number 3,
Virgil van Dijk.
Virgil van
yeah.
Dijk. Okay,
And
at least you're not as
I'm-
stupid as I thought.
I need to put
And
a
I
big
think you're pretty
caveat.
stupid.
I am.
I need to put a big caveat on this, right? I think he was a better ball player than Rio Ferdinand. I think he was a better ball player than John Terry. I think he was a better defender than Rio Ferdinand. John Terry was not a good ball player, mate. Don't fucking
You're
stop it.
off your head because you're going to make yourself
Okay.
look silly because I'm going to bring up the clips in a minute.
All right, go on then. But
I've got an
He's still-
encyclopedic knowledge.
You have.
are you gonna let me finish this? He was
Yes.
better than both of them as an all-round player. I do think that, and also he's still playing. If he signs another 2 years with Liverpool, which
How old is he now?
33 or 32,
he's not that
I don't know.
old.
But if he
JT was still
signs
playing as well.
what?
JT was still playing as well.
No, I know that, but they're not playing anymore. So what I'm saying is there's room for more with Van Dijk is what I'm saying.
True.
So what?
True.
Yeah,
There is more.
So
room for
if
more.
he signs another 2 years with Liverpool and he wins another 2 major trophies, and Liverpool are at least very, very close to challenging for the league, they win another European Cup or they win another 2 leagues, there's no question he's number 1. No question. But because he hasn't achieved what the others have, and also Ferdinand's longevity is outrageous. That he started playing, didn't he make his West Ham debut at 18 or something like that, and finished the QPR at 36
or something, yeah.
something like that. So that's the only reason he's number 3. It really pained me to put him at number 3, but he's still got more in him, I hope, at Liverpool. But I still think he's a better all-round player than the other 2. I really do.
Okay.
Yep, Stan.
Yep, Stam. Is this number 4?
This is 3.
Oh, this is 3. Yeah. So I had him at 4. You've got him at 3.
Yeah.
So you rate him highly.
I fucking love Yap Stam. I love to hate him because he was so good,
Yeah.
but he was again just a wall.
And it is I think there's a strong thing to say if he'd have played longer.
100%.
We probably actually never even saw the best thing because he went on to win the Champions League again with AC Milan, I believe, because he would have played in that team that lost to you.
I think
and then
he
would have
did,
played
didn't he? 2008, he won it with AC Milan, I think.
And then he was at Lazio as well, wasn't he? Let's have a look at Jaap Stam. I just want to see this if he was still playing then.
Absolute mountain.
So honours. So we got. Oh, look at that! He won the league 3 years in a row with Manchester United. So he never not won the league. FA Cup, Champions League, then Lazio he won the Coppa Italia, Milan, Super Coppa Italiana, Champions League runner-up 04-05. So he never played.
Of course, he was in the Milan team in Istanbul. Yeah, of course.
And then he went to Ajax. He won there as well, which is actually like he won literally every club he went to, which was quite mad.
Yeah.
It wasn't like
I'm pretty telling as well. When he left Man United, I think Chelsea won the league the next year. I think either Chelsea or Arsenal. After he left.
So that's So I don't disagree with you, Jaap Stam. What were we on number 3?
That was 3.
I've gone Sol Campbell for reasons stated, and that's a hard one because it's not like I like him personally or anything like. I just think Invincibles went that season. Invincible, won staff, played in Champions League.
Who was his centre-off partner that year? The Invincibles
Would have been Kolo Touré.
You'd have to tell me.
Might have been, mightn't it?
I think it would have been Kolo Touré.
Yeah,
would have been my and Martin Keown as well.
Yeah, but Keown was on the bench most of the time that year.
I don't know if he was because remember Keown was the one that jumped on Van Nistelrooy.
That's right.
Yeah, that was in the FA Cup, wasn't it?
Invincibles.
Was that in the FA Cup?
No, that was league. I think. But I've gone Sol Campbell. I think Sol Campbell actually is a little bit of a forgotten. I do understand his gripe. I do think he's a bit of a forgotten defender because his unlikability because of the Tottenham Arsenal thing. So I do think is there an argument that Jaap Stam or whoever could be above him? I do agree, but because he hasn't won the titles that like the amount of trophies that the others won, maybe. So there's that. So. Who did you go in at 3, Tone?
Mine was Van Dijk, wasn't it?
Oh, so you went. So we're now on to the top 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Top 2. Who you gone? Number 2.
There's a nut skin between them. A nut skin. A skin of a nut. John Terry was number 2.
Was he?
Yeah, he was. He was another one that I loved to hate. John Terry. Because obviously, Liverpool and Chelsea in the early 2000s couldn't stand them. But
no, and I don't think anyone could unless you're a Chelsea fan. You'd love John Terry without
what
doubt.
A football player! What a football player! And he was symbolic of the new Chelsea, wasn't he? Not the new Chelsea, but the Chelsea.
That change
Jose.
under Mourinho. He was the spine of the team with.
He was him and
Petr Cech, Lampard, Drogba. That was the spine.
And it was almost like you couldn't get past them. If somebody did John Terry, you would be like, wow. Did you see
listen,
John Terry
did get done sometimes.
When was the last time someone dribbled past Virgil van Dijk?
Well, actually, this season it's happened a couple of times. But I would say though that he went about 4 years without anybody going past him at Liverpool, Van Dijk. But
because we're not don't take anyone on anymore.
Yeah.
But Terry wasn't like Terry. He wasn't like the quickest player. You don't think of John Terry as speed. And look, one thing that did favour John Terry, which I'll say, maybe he played with some of the best partners. So actually, the cover when you think of cover. And Ferdinand Vidic the same, like as Virgil had that cover, as Sol Campbell or whatever. Jaap Stam, was he playing with Roddy Johnson? Like again, like them sorts of things. So did he have the best cover in Carvalho, Ivanovic? Like
but I don't think he ever needed it.
Gary Cahill, sorry.
Yeah.
Like so they then does that make them look a little bit bad? And that's where it's all thing. But for me. John Terry, I think, is the greatest centre-half of the Premier League era.
Yeah,
I'll hark back something
really
which I think a lot, and I think you've underestimated a little bit as well. What a lot of people don't remember about John Terry is his passing ability with both feet. So he was left-footed and right-footed, and I urge anyone to go out and put on YouTube John Terry passing both feet and watch the balls he played to far wing, 50, 60-yard ball into the. That is, and do you know, I heard Thierry Henry talk about this the other day. The hardest skill in football is a long pass. And he said, people think of that as like a long ball. He said, to be able to guess a timing of a player's run to get that ball into their path so it hits perfectly, he said, so you don't have to stop or whatever, he said, is the hardest skill in the whole of football. The end. I saw him say that on CBS, and actually, no one really gives that much thought, do they? But I think John Terry,
because
going back
they
to him,
make the ones who are good at it make it look so easy.
Yeah, because it does look easy.
So you really don't think that much about it because it looks.
You don't.
Like easy,
but he could do it he could do it right and left foot. He had no favourable foot.
Listen, as a football player, I have zero criticism of John Terry. Zero. He was brilliant.
And I think with him
brilliant.
as well, I think all of us would have said he would have died on the pitch. I think he was one of those people that he threw his head in like some of the most ridiculous things you've ever seen. We got knocked out before, didn't he? With a boot connects with him and broke his cheekbones. He was a warrior, and he loved that part. I think he thrived off of being known as that.
Well, that's that when somebody's not a natural athlete, and he wasn't, was he? Like and that's not a criticism. He just wasn't a natural athlete. When somebody, and I like him to a more Jamie Carragher with more ability. When somebody's not a natural football player, natural athlete, they thrive on that part of the game. And if they didn't, they would never have made it. I'm not saying Terry wouldn't have made it, but it's got to be a big part of the game because it's almost your number one attribute is that you'll put your head anywhere, you know?
Yeah, and I think that's a little bit what gets lost with John Terry is people think of him first as just throwing his body in there, right? But goal scoring was amazing. Scored a lot of goals, John Terry, as well. Like from corners and things like that, because he'd throw.
He did score a lot of goals
I
from
think
corners,
my biggest take is the passing ability of John Terry is possibly the most underrated. And I urge anyone to go and look at it on YouTube and things like that. I'm sure there's clips on it. I haven't seen it, but I'm sure there is. But who have you gone for number 2? Rio. Same as me. I was lucky enough to see Rio start his career. I saw every game and visit West Ham. Home and away. He was just
phenomenal.
Because what we saw at West Ham was a player that no one else ever saw. So Rio Ferdinand at West Ham was, I can only liken it to a number 10 playing at centre-half.
Yeah.
He done outrageous things with the ball, and he was so fun. He was almost like watching a Brazilian. He was like, he done tricks. I still remember, to this day, it, because one of my best mates, David, he was mascot this game. And Rio done a double drag back in the middle of the field and then put the ball through Didi Haman's legs against Newcastle.
Wow.
And I just was like, this guy is fucking insane. But then he went to Leeds and they taught him how to defend. West Ham didn't teach him how. He wasn't an amazing defender at West Ham, but he was amazing on the ball. And that's probably where he kept that ball playing style.
Well, he was the first big centre-half to be able to, be competent on the ball, wasn't he? Actually be, like, exceptional.
And he was exceptional, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Again, no score goals, not so many, nowhere near as John Terry, but a good defender as well.
I thought he was awesome, yeah.
And he was a great player for England. Marred a little bit by the drugs bit, where he missed 8 months, did he? Something like that. No one's ever really found out the truth of that either. Like, he says he missed it. They don't know. Like, was it? I know he defends it like adamantly.
As he will.
Actually, I suppose it's quite a shame how him and John Terry's relationship ended, actually. Like, where you had two...
Yeah, they still don't speak to each other, do they?
No. Which stemmed all from the thing with his brother at QPR.
I mean, it's understandable.
Yeah. And again, you've never really found the ins and outs of that. But it was such a shame that two of England's greatest ever centre-halves up there in the top
Up
5,
there,
I would say,
yeah.
if you put them all together. That they don't speak and things like that. But he was exceptional. Why do you think, Rio? What is it you like about him?
Well, it was his ability to on the ball. Like, you knew that when he got the ball, he wasn't going to mess it up. You know,
Yeah.
it was that first defender that you go, okay, he's got it, and he can, even under pressure. You know, he was so competent with the ball at his feet and could make things happen as well as defend like a wall. So
And a will to win.
I think he really, transformed that position, made it his own.
He again played with a great central defensive partner in Vidic, who probably covered some of his mistakes sometimes. But then you say, like, because I've seen this on Instagram where people say, well, Ferdinand made loads of mistakes, and he probably would have, as Van Dijk would now as well, because they played a ball out, whereas other people just went long.
Yeah.
Like, so at
Yeah,
that time,
I would imagine Ferdinand was the person who every other defender looked for to play the ball to get it into the midfield. So he probably spent most of more time than any other defender on the ball.
Yeah.
And if you spend more time,
you're
on the ball,
gonna get caught out.
it's going to happen. Yeah.
And he was probably, if he was dribbling out with the ball more, which he did, where he went them advancing forward runs,
Those long rangy runs, yeah.
then he's out of position as well. So if you're in opposition, you're gonna try and put the ball where Rio should be to target that. So again, you can't. Yes, they made mistakes. Van Dijk made mistakes. Van Dijk plays in a different era of football where he's gonna make more mistakes because you have to play out with the ball.
Out.
So there is all them things that go into it.
Yeah.
What who was your?
Is Tony? Are you going to give your 2?
It
your
was
2,
Terry,
so.
John Terry.
John Terry.
Sorry, yes.
So we were both
Obviously.
Rio.
Yeah.
And then
Of course,
I'm
I've gone
assuming
Rio.
we've all flipped number 1 because my number 1's Rio. We've already spoken about him, but do you know when I was a kid, I used to have those little VHSs with like Liverpool in a certain season, like the highlights of the whole certain season. And I was never a defender in my life, but I used to love Alan Hansen. And Rio Ferdinand was the first player I ever watched when I was older, a little bit older, and was like, oh, he's like fucking Hansen. Like, he's tall and rangy, and the ball comes to him, and there never seemed to be any panic in his head when the ball came to him when he was under pressure. He, for me, was the first English centre half that I'd ever seen that could do that.
Yeah.
And he'd always done it, by the way.
Rio.
I don't remember him that much at West Ham, but I remember at Leeds and
I was
United.
at Rio's debut.
What's that?
I was at Rio's debut.
Oh, yeah.
I was at Youth Cup final when Rio played.
He was just amazing. Oh, do you know what? I actually was at... Wait, the Youth Cup final was at Anfield?
You had the Anfield and West Ham. You had 2. You had Michael Owen and
Did
Jamie
they
Carragher.
really? I was at the one at Anfield when he played.
Michael Owen played in that,
Michael
and Lampard
Owen
and Ferdinand played in that.
Frank Lampard played.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fucking I forgot about
I was
that.
at that. I went to the West Ham one.
But I think he revolutionised how English centre half should be playing. I really do. He was the first.
And he kind of done it. I actually think he done it without manager's instruction. I think that's how he played.
Yeah,
and they
maybe.
did take a lot out of it. As I say, Leeds taught him, David O'Leary taught him how to defend. Because at West Ham, he was not an amazing defender. Got to remember, Rio Ferdinand was a striker as a kid.
Was he really?
Yeah. So he wasn't a defender. So he had to learn. So I suppose when he got into the first team at 18, he was only learning how to play centre-half. Like, he hadn't been defending. He'd only probably been a centre-half for 1 year, 2 years. So he'd been like a striker, number 10. That's what he was. So that's why I think
He was brilliant. He was
makes
brilliant.
the argument of why kids should play in different positions. Why they shouldn't just stay in one position all their life because they learn. But then he went, and Manchester United then took him to a next level. But also playing in a different side. You had Roy Keane in front of you, Paul Scholes in front of you. It's a very different than having John Moncur and Martin Allen in front of you. Like very different at West Ham. But yeah, I think he gets lost that he actually played for Leeds and actually how well because they got to that semi-final at Champions League.
Yeah, and if they would have won that, by the way, because Leeds got in big financial trouble when they didn't.
That team would have gone on to win the league.
They had to sell. They had to sell him. They had to
That
sell
team,
him.
without a doubt, would have gone on to win the league. Bowyer,
Yeah.
Wood, because you had Woodgate and Ferdinand.
Yeah,
centre
Woodgate
halves.
as well. Yeah.
Paul Robinson,
Forgot about
Who?
Jonathan Wood.
Robbie Fowler,
Yeah.
Robbie Keane,
Robbie
Viduka.
Keane. Yeah.
They had
yeah.
Huckabee. I think he was still there
So
then.
brilliant team.
Bowyer,
Who was that chairman? What was his name? Was it Risdale?
Peter Risdale.
Peter Risdale. Yeah.
Yeah. But they were a really, that team would have gone on. It didn't get long enough to be together, did it?
No, but what I'm saying is, if they wouldn't have gotten beat and in that Champions League semi-final and ended up in big trouble financially, he may have never played for United. Ferdinand.
No, exactly. Jason
He may have
Wilcox,
never played for Spurs.
Steve, what was his name? Gary Kelly, Ian Hart.
The fullback.
Yeah, Gary Kelly and
Yeah.
Ian Hart. They would have been there.
They were the right and
Stephen
left back.
Carr.
weren't
Was he at Leeds? No. He was at Spurs, wasn't he? Spurs, Stephen Carr. They had a blind.
Oh, who was the little blonde lad who ended up signing for Man United as well?
Alan Smith.
Alan Smith.
Because then he went and played
player.
Man United as a central midfielder, didn't he? He was a striker, wasn't he, at first?
Yeah, he was a striker. Yeah, I remember he got his leg
and he played a
broken
holding
at
midfielder,
Anfield.
didn't he, as Manchester United, which was
No, he was an
Ferg-
attacking midfielder, I think.
no more tackling, more holding.
No,
He,
attacking.
A tackling midfielder, like hard tackling midfielder.
He was
but
he was a hard lad though. Him.
So then number one, you've gone Rio,
Big Verge.
Virgil van Dijk.
Right, so
I don't know how you can put Virgil van Dijk against that hole.
I do.
I do.
I can see how he
Can't.
did it.
I had him in eighth.
I can see how he
What
did
did
it.
you have him in? Third. What did you have him in?
I
Tom?
had him in third. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're just going to have to agree to disagree on that.
I don't think he comes close. I've got to be honest with you. I really don't. And I've got JT obviously as number one. I just don't think you put up the trophies against each other. Although
The trophies are not.
Virgil's won two
I
Premier
don't
League
think the
titles now
trophies mean
and a
that.
Champions
And he
League.
went up against the best
Did
side
he win a
ever.
Champions League?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah.
And gone up
Transformed.
against the best side ever, which I will give
Went
you
up against the
that.
best side ever and got within points of them on two occasions.
I will give you that.
One point wasn't it? On
Scored more
one occasion?
points in 2 seasons than any other team apart from City,
Yeah.
Chelsea and United.
Scored 16 points ahead of the Invincibles,
That's right.
which is a
This is with a
great
Liverpool
stat.
And by
team
the
that
way,
did,
you know, as
that
much-
has done it without the financial backing of
Yeah.
City and Chelsea and United. He has transformed Liverpool into a world class team.
Ooh, I
Really
wouldn't know
about-
about world class team.
What?
I wouldn't say I don't think this Liverpool team that is now will never be remembered.
Mate,
as Premier League.
we're
Liverpool team,
11
but the
points
one that
clear
won
at
the
the top of
European
the
Cup
best league in the world.
And the ones that
What are you
back up
talking
with
about?
Mane, Firmino, and that team, Alisson, Van Dijk.
I don't think it's in the top 3 teams that won the Premier League.
Okay, who's better?
Well, I wouldn't say it, but I would arguably say City's team.
I'll give
Probably
you City.
a couple of City teams.
Yeah.
I'll
There's
give you
2 Man
City.
United teams that are better.
Didn't score as many points.
Do you know Man United in that team that we're talking about with Ferdinand? And I obviously rate Ferdinand the best, but they won the league on 75 points. Liverpool are already
But
on,
the
I
league
think it's
was
72.
so much stronger. The league was so much
I
stronger.
don't know about that.
Mate, that's ridiculous.
Way
That is
deeper now.
so you're contradicting yourself, right? You're saying the best team is the Man City team who got, I think they got 101 points, didn't they? Or 100, one or the other. So then, by your logic of the team, the league being stronger.
No, I'm not saying about the
hang
points,
on,
because
hang on,
City
hang
won
on,
the points.
hang
I'm not
on.
saying that.
Hold your horses. So your logic of the league being stronger because the team that won it with less points means that how can the team that won it with the most ever points be the strongest? That makes no sense.
Well, I'm talking about just the team. The team that was out there.
No, you said the league. You said the league was stronger. That's why they won the league with 75 points.
Well, you had a lot more bigger teams in the league at Manchester United era then. Bigger
Like who?
players.
Like who?
Well, listen, you had Alan Shearer at Newcastle. the top
Newca-
all-time
New-
Premiership
New-
goal
I don't
scorer.
think Newcastle ever finished in the top 4, did they, when Shearer was there?
But exactly, I'm sort of saying how strong the league was.
I think
Get
the
out of
league's
here.
deeper now.
Fucking talking nonsense.
I don't agree.
you're blowing-
Listen,
you're
I
blowing
don't
bubbles.
agree that Liverpool team is in the top 5 Premier League all-time teams. I don't.
Which one?
I think the Ronaldo team is better than it. I'm not even going to put them in order because it's too hard to do, right? The City team, there's probably 2 that I think are better than
I give you the City team. I give you that.
The 2 Man United teams, the Beckham team, it was much fucking better than the Beckham, Keane, Giggs is much better than that team, right? And the Tevez, Rooney, Ronaldo team at Manchester United was better than that team. The Chelsea team under Mourinho was much better than that team.
Which one? I don't know. That's where I'm going to. The other 4, I think
You're
right.
mad. You're mad.
No, it's
You're
the Chelsea
insane.
one where I'm like, I don't know.
We beat that team. We gave that team.
When did you beat that team?
With the semi-final to get to the European Cup, we beat that team.
One game.
Yeah, but
We didn't beat from the league, did you?
that was a bang
Nowhere
average
near
Liverpool. That was a bang average Liverpool team.
With the ghost goal, a goal that never even fucking
Should have been a
occurred.
penalty before the goal went in.
But then Arsenal Invincibles, another team.
No, get the fuck out of here.
Oh,
No,
you're mad.
not having that.
What?
Listen,
Thierry Henry.
there were
Perez.
better Arsenal. No, there were better Arsenal teams than that.
No, there was not. That is
There
the
was.
greatest Arsenal
the
team
year
of all
after,
time.
I think they were better.
Go and
than
have a look at that Arsenal team. Dennis Bergkamp, Thierry Henry, Perez,
But you're
Sol
naming
Campbell,
players. You're
Jens
naming
Lehmann.
players.
What?
Are we talking about players or teams?
Well, the team, they won it invincible. They never got beat all season. They're the only team to ever
But
do it.
didn't
in
they
the Premier
draw
League.
like 13 times? or
Doesn't
something
matter.
ridiculous?
They still went to Premier League
Of course it
season unbeaten.
matters. What do you mean it
Unbeaten.
doesn't matter?
Of course it does. That team, you put that next to team with Adam Lallana in it. Fucking hell, you're talking fucking mad.
Lallana wasn't there in Liverpool's best team.
Yeah, let me tell you. Yeah, he was.
No, he
Joe
wasn't.
Allen, you'll be saying next was fucking should have been there. Right, we're finishing because I've had enough of talking to.
Do you know what? I'm just for that little rant. I'm changing mine. Virgil van Dijk's number 1. You
No,
can
Good
fuck
lad.
yourself.
you idiots.
There he is.
They're idiots.
Way to
Honestly,
finish.
Liverpool fans, you're
Way to finish
off your
yourself.
fucking
Go
nuts.
fuck
Enjoy your
yourself.
league title this year, Liverpool fans. Enjoy it.
Goodness
And you
me.
might get another one next year because I think football's getting even more boring. And what it stows is Liverpool thrive in a boring.
Won't be boring for
No
me
good
if
era.
Liverpool win the league. Let me tell you that for nothing.
Bless you.
Right, see you all later.
Cheers, guys.
Up the Reds.